So, guys, I came all the way to England to hang out with Mr. Jon Delieu.
Yep.
Hey, I got it right.
You pronounced it right as
A
well.
forensic detailing channel. And so, thanks, Jon, for having us. Appreciate
My pleasure,
it.
guys. It's been a good couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had some fun. We got to, Jon thankfully, graciously picked us up from the airport and then brought us down here to Chichester and Bognor Regis.
Yeah.
We had a fun day yesterday. We went around to Goodwood. We got to check out the racetrack, got to see some Lexuses cruising around.
Yeah.
Full kits, which was nice. And then had dinner and some ice cream.
Yeah.
It's been a good
chat.
Chat. So the thing was, though, we were like, oh man, we should have brought our camera and our recorder and all this stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So we're actually in Jon's garage doing this. So Jon, tell me about how you got started. Why did you start your YouTube channel? How did you get started in detailing? Like, what was the...
Yeah, so I mean, the YouTube channel's been going about 3 years, so relatively short space of time. Kind of before that, I was always into keeping a nice car, and I'm talking about going back kind of 20 years when there was less of this information around, you know. So most guys probably the same. You'd have a box in your garage with a few select products which worked for you, and then as the kind of scene is taken off and kind of there's more products, there's more information, you get more products. I think for a long while I knew about kind of washing the car safely, you know, just not using a bucket and a sponge, going in heavy-handed, using a pressure washer to pre-rinse is something I've been doing for as long as I can remember. But I think at some stage you take a step from where you're just cleaning your car kind of well at home to moving on to decontaminating it and polishing it. Yeah. And usually in that order, you usually discover clay at some point, and you go in and you kind of clay your car, and you notice straight away that your car now feels better, perhaps looks better as well. And then after that, you kind of discover that you really kind of need to be able to machine polish if you're really into kind of doing this. And loads and loads more people nowadays are going and buying machine polishers.
To notice that, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and it changes the results. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic products out there that can make your car look great, but still, machine polishing your car is the thing that makes it look great for a long time. You know, obviously, the better you maintain it. So that was the thing. It was kind of discovering machine polishing, and I thought, you know, for many years I was doing a form of machine polishing, which I thought was amazing back then. I think the first thing I ever machine polished was the side of my dad's car, where he ran it up against a load of trees and bushes, and he put a massive scratch in it. It was an old silver BMW. Well, it wasn't old back then. And he was quoted a lot of money to actually respray the side of it. Right. And I didn't think it needed it, and I knew a bit about kind of buffing paintwork. And I borrowed a Silverline polisher from a friend next door and just hit it hard with a compound he gave me, and the scratches looked like they were gone. Yeah. And I didn't know about buffer trails or anything like that. So at that point, I thought, you know, I was the bee's knees. Yeah. And it was probably one of the few times Dad actually looked at the car, and he looked at me and he was quite impressed, which was a rare thing. Yeah. So that was kind of the first time I machine polished. After that, I was talking to you guys. A friend who lives next door to where my parents used to live was a kind of car buyer and a car enthusiast, and he would buy up a lot of cars. Front of his house was a bit like a car park or a sort of scrapyard as well. Yeah. But he always had car projects on the go, and I was always chatting to him about cars. And I remember talking to him one day that he was just trying to sell a car that he'd had for a while, and a sort of sports coupe, a Mazda. And the guy turned up to buy it and said that the car was covered in swirls, and he didn't understand. He said the car's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, he wasn't swirl aware. So I had a look at the car, and it was covered in swirls, and I said I'd take it out for him, and I did. And the next time he sold the car, he sold it straight away. So he was really happy and asked me to do kind of a few more of his cars, and you know, it's just as a fun thing really, and as well as less detailing, but kind of fixing them up as well. So I was saying to you, a lot of them needed sort of paintwork, so we get the panels resprayed. We'd get a better deal if the panels were just sprayed, and then we would do the mopping on it. Yeah. So that's really how it started for me, and then really I sort of started discovering problems with using the rotary polisher. I remember talking to the body shop that used to do all the spray work for us, and one of the guys was mopping out the car after he'd sprayed it, and I just sort of said, do you mind if I watch? And I was watching him, and this is going back probably about 10 or 15 years. And it was the first time I'd seen anyone spray water on the car. And I asked him, what's he doing there? And he said, I'm just using this for kind of lubrication. And he was using a rotary polisher with some 3M waffle mops. And it was the first time as well that I became aware that there was two stages to the process. So I was just sort of playing dumb and just watching. And as soon as I kind of went away, I went and bought the stuff he was using, which was the 3M waffles and Fast Cut and Finesse It, which a lot of the body shops are using. And that was like a big upgrade for me. Yeah. Because you could, the compounds that I was using before were pretty nasty. You could quite easily overheat the paintwork. You could go through the paintwork with them. So it was kind of from there. And then I was aware of kind of Detailing World, which was a really good forum. So I was aware of the existence of dual action polishers, and a few years ago I invested in kind of some of the polishers, and just took it from there. At some point I thought I'll do a detailing channel because I knew it all. Yeah. But I realised, when I started, you think you've got enough information there to give good information. The longer I've been doing it, the kind of more I realise actually that every area of detailing has expertise, a lot of expertise, whether it's kind of paintwork, whether it's the machines, whether it's the chemicals you're using, whether it's the leather. There is an expert somewhere in that industry that has a level of expertise which blows away anything I can give on the channel. And the more I've done it, the more I realise we're just sort of scratching on the surface.
Well, and that's one thing I've noticed is that, like, even though I've been in it for 20 years consecutively, like cleaning cars, detailing cars, I learned more in the last 5 years than I have in the previous 15. Yeah. Like, and I'm still picking up things. I'm still learning things every day, and that's what's so wild is you start. There's just, I feel like it's this. I thought I knew it all 15 years ago, and then like everything exploded. The scales came off my eyes, and I could see it. It was like, oh my gosh, and then it's still going, and it's like,
and
is this
enjoyable part?
Who's gonna learn? Are you gonna learn everything? I don't think so.
That's what I've always said. If there's nothing to learn, if you could pick up everything about this in 3 to 4 months and you were done, and that would see you for the rest of your detailing life, it wouldn't be such an interesting hobby. And I think part of the appeal to all this is you can keep it simple if you want. You can get yourself a range of products. You can look after your car well, or you can take it up to whatever level you like. And I think that's how a lot of guys get into it and start businesses up. And it starts from being really passionate about how you look after your cars and enjoying it as well. Yeah. Sometimes it's fun. Not all the time. I mean, sometimes you go through phases, I don't know if you're like me, where the idea of cleaning your car is just horrible and you just don't want it, and you don't have to, which is a great thing.
Yeah, that too.
And then other times you really kind of enjoy it and you take your time and you get good results at the end, and then you try not to drive your car for as long as you can.
Well, my wife makes the joke that there are times where she's like, I need you to just go outside and wash the car.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm on edge, or there's, maybe I'm short with my kids or something, and she's like, you need to just go outside and wash the car for a little bit. And that's kind of my de-stress. I can de-stress. I just go out and
it takes your mind off. Whatever is on your mind drops out of your mind, and then you just focus on the car instead, and you kind of go into this weird,
it's zen like.
Yeah, especially when you're machine polishing for a long time, your mind wanders all over the place, and that's why I think these podcasts are great as well, because you can just kind of drift off, keep concentrating on the machine as well, and then listen to stuff and kind of enjoy it. It's really important.
When I had my shop, that was the one thing I looked forward to. I looked forward to the jobs that would come in where I could take them and just go forever, and just, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna polish a car, and that's all I'm gonna do. And it made it a lot more fun to be able to just zone out. I always got upset when a customer would call, even though that meant money. It was like, oh, you interrupted.
It brings you back into the real world.
Oh man, I didn't plan on that. I needed you to not.
But I like that suggestion you said about, I'm going to tell my missus when she's got the ump with me, which is every other day, to tell me to go and wash the car. But I don't think I'll get away with that.
She'll be like, oh, you washed it. You washed it already. It was an hour ago, John. You washed it already. I think I got to go back out. I think I got to go wash it again.
I missed a bit. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got started, and that's where I am now. And part of the fun still of doing the channel is discovering all the product side. That is the fun side of it for me. There are some areas of products where, you know, the cleaning type products, things which clean, it's hard to get too excited about chemicals which clean, but the bling products, the protection products, that's still fun for me.
Yeah.
The abrasive products, I think, are a kind of fun, you know, interesting, because there's different kind of performance things with those abrasives. But the protection side, I think people are very, very attentive to, because there's so many different options out there.
Well, and I like that there's such a large variety of different products. You know, we sell 2 kinds of different chemical lines, and people always ask us, they're like, well, what is better than the other one?
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, well, they're both equally good lines. You can use either one.
Yeah.
We just want to provide more options for folks. You know, that's kind of the fun part about detailing, is there's so many different types of different soaps, different polishes, different
and ultimately you've got to try them as well. You've got to try them, because we've all got an opinion, and we can put that opinion out there. And I sometimes have done videos where I've put an opinion out there, and other people disagree, and it's something, sometimes it gets into things that are personal, that you're looking for something in a product that someone else isn't. So ultimately it's good to try stuff, but it's good to trust your own opinion on stuff and use the products critically. If you've got a requirement, you know, for a protected product, and you want that protected product, the minimum requirement is to last 6 months, well, keep an eye on the durability. Or if you want a product that's easy to apply, that gives a nice slick finish, isn't kind of sticky or anything like that, then look for that as you're doing it, and then try and build up a range of products that work well together, that you like. But if you're anything like me, you use one once, and then next time you want to try something different, don't you? So you end up trying everything. But I'm in a state of
If you can't see it here, but John's got he's referencing his shelf of products and accoutrements, I guess you could say.
And I can't use it all, which is the biggest problem for me. So I've tested a lot of stuff, put it on the channel, and at the moment my mindset is I want to know exactly what the minimum amount is that I actually need to do everything I want to do. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there.
I'm getting there. I've got a little caddy that I keep, a little tote that I put my stuff in that I use, you know, weekly to wash my cars, and I've narrowed it down, but I still find myself going,
you can't get rid of that one.
I want to go get some of this. I want to use some of this still, but then I think, no, I'm just washing the car. This is all it needs. It'll get it. We'll be good. But,
and even if you you finalise it, which is kind of half finalise what I think I need, that can change. Like next week, if a product comes in and you get on really well with it, it's like, right, I'm going to have to usurp this one and swap them around. So I'm going to probably do a video on that actually at some point. Try and decide what I need. And try and minimise it as well, so that I can get back some space in the garage.
That'd be nice. And you get a little room, maybe you hang something up there.
The room would be nice.
So you started the channel about 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago, I think. Or this is I think this is pretty sure this is the 3rd year of running. But it's been good fun. YouTube is a cool thing in the sense that anyone can literally go there. I mean, we're filming this today on smartphones that have better cameras in them than my DSLRs, so you can get up and running very quickly on YouTube. I think if you're like me, you'll start off not really understanding what you're doing because you haven't done it before. I had no idea how to kind of operate on YouTube and what's best in terms of what you should do content-wise to actually get the channel to grow, and that's kind of something that I'm learning all the time. And then once you've been doing it for 3 years, sometimes what's best to actually make the channel grow might not be what's best in terms of kind of quality as well. So you have that kind of balancing dilemma on YouTube, you know, kind of clickbaiting and all that sort of stuff, and you try to keep the integrity of the channel half decent, so that's a little dilemma that I run with. But learning every time you put a video out there, you learn, and perhaps it's fair to say the longer you do it, the more accurate you are in knowing if that video is going to be interesting or not. Yeah, well, and we find that the same way, and it's hard when you do put in
a ton of time into a video and it doesn't do as well, but then you don't put a lot of time and it does gangbuster. And you're like,
yeah, I've had that.
How is that?
Some that you plan very carefully. I don't typically script them. Only if you hear me kind of doing the dialogue over the top. I've recorded that dialogue inside, and I might have written it out on a bit of paper. You can tell when I'm kind of reading it, but I tend to not do it that way. I tend to have a rough idea with some bullet points. The ones that I've spent, or there's examples of ones that I've spent hours on. And I've scripted bits of them, and they're just they're awful. And then literally, I'll just turn the camera on, and I say I want to talk about this today, and I'll get it in the background, nothing on paper, fire away, and then that one could be really interesting. So that's part of what I was saying about learning, and I think you've got to focus, put more effort into the ones that are of interest, and keeping up with the scene, what things are hot, what things are not hot, what people are talking about, what's contentious. All that sort of stuff I think is important to talk about. It makes it all fun.
Yeah. So in the detailing scene here in the UK, what is it like mostly? You've got a lot of mobile guys, valeters, that do just car washes, similar like what we have, but then you've got guys that are doing
the studio detail.
I think
there's more and more of them around now. I mentioned to you the Pro Detailers magazine, which is I work with Bert on the channel. We do stuff together. He has the Association of Professional Detailers, which is good from a customer point of view. Anyone that wants to get their car detailed now can kind of look them up and find a detailer in there that's been vetted and allowed into the association. And they could also sort of see what the different services that those detailers are offering. So if they want someone specifically that's studio based for a ceramic coating, that's their requirement. They could find it. I think before maybe you were Googling a little bit and kind of, you might have to dig around, call people up more. So it's a way of, I think that's helped people kind of identify the detailers that are out there. The awareness of detailing is much higher now. I think social media. Yeah. Everyone that's into detailing is kind of now building a social media presence. So I think that's fueling a kind of interest in the detailing scene generally. The UK has a massive amount of kind of detailing products and detailing companies. People say it's kind of a saturated market, that there's too many brands, not enough consumers. Well, I think the industry seems to be growing quickly, that even if there's millions of brands out there, if you get it right, there's a big market sort of out there to kind of tap into, if you like. Yeah. And it's good to keep an eye on the scene. I think we've got some great brands here, there's two that I've done brand reviews on with Built Hamber and Angel Wax, which are fantastic. We looked at Koch, which are a German brand, which are bigger. We looked at Optimum Car Care because I was interested in that. Primarily, sometimes when I see a brand, I'll take on one product, and I took on O&R, and I don't know much about waterless and rinseless washes because they're not massive in the UK because we don't have water issues. Although right at the minute of recording this video, we have water issues. We're on the point of getting a hose pipe ban, so they might. That would help kind of drive them. But there was a lot of noise about O&R over in the US.
In the US it was big because in California that's last couple of years it was to the point you couldn't wash in your garage, couldn't wash in your driveway. People couldn't. They were getting fined for watering their grass.
Really?
And there was companies that were going around literally painting people's yards green. Like they were doing, and like that's how bad it got. And finally people started doing the xeriscaping where they take out the grass and they put rock or desert plants. But that was what got O&R so much bigger, was because of those water restrictions, because of the fact that people couldn't wash. So a lot of mobile detailers in California started using it because they had city water would drive around and the city would fine people or detailers who would get a drop of water on the ground. And so waterless and rinseless washes over there really kind of took off in the last few years over there. And then my shop, I didn't have water restrictions where my business was, but the city I was inside, so in Boise, there's another smaller city in the center of town called Garden City. And in Garden City, it's on the river. So it's the small little riverbank city, basically on both sides of the river, and everything drained to the river. Oh, wow. And so they were really cracking down And that was one thing that I thought, better as a business owner, I should learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Because I could see it going, like, I think there's going to be a point where they're not going to allow me to have any runoff, period. You know, and I had a contained septic system that would hold all the water and all that, and it had sewer, and it was good, but I thought best be, you know, educated on how to do it just in case.
And you want to do the right thing as well, don't you?
Yeah.
There's obviously, if there's restrictions, and they're obviously running low in the old reservoirs. But it's a bit different. We're not as organised here. I don't think you'd get anyone coming around. You might have the neighbours moaning at you if you're using the hose pipe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, actually. It's very rare for us to get water bans here. But I've just noticed kind of with the O&R, it's well suited in a kind of hotter kind of climate where you've got like dust and dry debris on the car. And obviously you can't, or you're not supposed to be rinsing it off because there's water restrictions. And it works. I mean, the hardest thing, it's a tough job to make a product that you can clean a car with, you know, that doesn't involve blasting it with water. Yeah. Because that's obviously useful.
And it's counterintuitive. Like, it's almost like we're not supposed to do it this way.
It feels wrong, doesn't it? I remember that. It's still, I think whenever I use it, I'm still over cautious with it. And the more I use it, the more you can kind of just trust that it delivers on providing this kind of lubrication, which isn't going to scratch the panel. Because I always say that, I think when I talk about you're breaking the rules. You've got a sponge in your hand, which is a massive faux pas in England anyway, and you've not got soap, you've not pre-rinsed. You're going in and you're wiping off that dirt. But it's whenever I've kind of gone in looking, I haven't been able to find that kind of swirl and scratching that you get if you were going in with just a cloth. On dirt, putting it on there and then wiping over it. So the product's got something in it.
Well, and what I like is that everybody, and what I like is that not just O&R created has a rinse, Optimum has a rinseless product. Yeah. The other companies are taking on and pulling and coming up with their own versions of rinseless washes, which is neat to see all the different, how they've, spun it or figured it out.
Waterless as well. You've got the two kind of types with the rinseless. The rinseless wash means water's still involved. The waterless wash means you've just got the product. Yeah. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. So the rinseless, basically, it doesn't mean no pre-rinse. You can still pre-rinse if you need to. It just means no final rinse.
No final rinse. So it's just you buff off the kind of product that's left there, and then you've got your final finish.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the things that I like. It's just you start learning all these different methods and stuff, and I think that's one of the fun things. One about your channel is you get to see. Different products in use. You know,
I do like products that you can use for different things as well. I think O&R is, going back to it, is a product that you can use for a lot of different things. It does work really well as a clay lube, and it's concentrated. So I can't remember the clay lube concentration ratio.
1 to 128.
Is it?
Yeah.
1 to 128. So if you need the O&R concentration ratios, don't message me. Message Levi.
Yeah. Like I said, we're going to be painting them on the walls in the rag company so everybody knows what the numbers are at any time. You can just look up and see.
No, you can Google the O&R dilution rates. Anybody that's listening, they're there on Google.
But that's one of the fun things is just that you can use it in so many ways. So like I use it as a window cleaner in my shop. That's what we use. We put it in our shampoo extractor because it works really well. You can put it in your steam cleaner if you have a steamer. It helps clean out the boiler and stuff in there. And so it has a lot of uses.
Products are always nice. This is
1 to 256.
1 to 256. I think I'm 6 units off using it properly there. But one of the big things I think, perhaps with you've got the kind of enthusiast scene in America and the UK, and you've got the professional scene, is I think the professionals are kind of looking for stuff that is concentrated and they can get lots of the product. Whereas the enthusiast perhaps will want a bottle on their shelf that's ready to roll. And they haven't got to sit there reading it. I need 3 to 1 for this. I've got to take the lid off and pour it out into another bottle.
And that's really difficult for a lot of consumers. Because they maybe don't know how to do the dilution. And, some of, like in my shop, I had a dilution machine. So I just put in little tips and it would automatically, you just hook it up like a soda fountain, basically, and it would
That's far too organised.
Fill up the bottles real quick, and I had no problem. You just switch between the products you were using. And
so I'd end up drinking it if I had
me too, if it was soda. But yeah, but the dilution's key for a lot of those customers, and it's nice when you can find a line that is ready-made, works properly, and actually does what it's supposed to do. Because there are products that are consumer-based products that are almost under-diluted.
Yeah.
They may not work like they should, and you're like, man, I got to use a lot of, and maybe that's just the way they do it.
That's cool. That's the cool thing with concentrated products, though, is that you always feel you're kind of getting your money's worth, and if you want to use it at turbocharged, full trigger mode, you can do. A lot of times, though, they actually can work better.
Yeah.
With less of the product. I've noticed that with some stuff, because sometimes when you're lazy, you've got the concentrated version of the product there, and they say use it for this job, and you just whack it on at full whack, and it's not always the best thing to do. So, yeah, I think that's a whole kind of different discussion, isn't it, around concentration and products. The cool thing about going back to the point about the market being full of all of these so many companies now is that there's so many different options. Competition creates kind of it creates perhaps better prices for the guys buying it. But it also creates more choice. So you have a massive amount of choice in the in the UK. Sorry, and I know the US is the same, but perhaps keeping up with the market is the hardest thing.
I find that's always the hardest thing. Is there's for most guys getting into the industry or getting started, it's trying to navigate.
Yeah,
because there's so much stuff, and I mean, if you if you basically just said grab a towel out of your bin of towels here. And that's all you said to somebody who's never touched a microfiber towel before. Yeah. They just grab one. Yeah. And you might go, no, I need this. And, or just grab some soap off of that.
Well, it's like a scale.
It's trying to learn,
Simplicity versus having the right tool for the job.
But that's what I like about your channel, is that it gives guys that ability to navigate. They learn about stuff. You give them precise information. So they can help educate.
On a good day.
Yeah.
On a bad day, not so precise.
But that way they can learn. And that's, like I said, the other night we were having our ice cream last night, and I had a guy who's a detailer of mine who worked at my shop, and he's starting his own shop. And that's one of the things. He goes, I really like Jon's channel because it helps me figure out things that I didn't know.
I had to send him a lot of money to get him to say.
Yeah, I did not. He just saw this. Posted it on Instagram, and that was it.
It cost me a lot of money, that information.
Yeah.
There was another bullet point of something I thought would be interesting to talk about, and we touched on it, is the difference between the USA and the UK kind of scene. Because you've got the kind of all of the US brands, and some of them are over in the UK. We have Maguire's in our kind of Halfords, which is like the equivalent of your
O'Reilly's.
Yeah, the stores you can walk in all over the country. Halfords is the main one, and you get a very limited selection of detailing products in some of the DIY stores and things like that. But Halfords, there's probably about 5 or 6 brands in Halfords now. We have Maguire's, so we know about that. We have Adams over here. But I hear you guys talking about kind of Griot's Garage and stuff like that, which I don't think we have over here. You have
Mother's is the other one.
Mother's, yeah. I think we have some of their accessories and stuff, their brushes and polishing cones and stuff, but not the chemical products, as far as I know. But yeah, it's the differences between the two scenes, and it's good, I think, sometimes to explore the American products or products from a different region. Yeah. So you get a different kind of chemistry sometimes when it's kind of made over on the other side of the planet. I mean, there are, we talk about speciality chemicals, the guys actually making these, the engineers behind the chemicals. But I think, so there will be some shared chemistry there, but there is definitely differences to the American products. There are differences I've noticed, and there are,
even like a difference between like the CarPro line.
Yeah,
that's a Korean.
Yeah, the Korean brand is worth checking out.
It's good product.
Yeah, and it's different chemically, isn't it? They've taken a different approach to stuff like that. You got Soft 99, the Japanese brand as well. So I try and look at stuff that's a little bit different. And comparing the US scene is always interesting for me. You guys, I think, have really good soaps.
There's a lot of soap, a lot of different soaps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies, and navigating all those companies is still, trying at times, because we do have blend houses that make a lot of different products for a lot of different companies, but it's trying to find the best of those setups, and you can get some really neat products that you maybe never thought about. What I like though is that they're always continually evolving. There's always new styles of products coming out, and I think having, we're no longer, it's just an American, detailing scene. It's becoming a world scene, where folks are buying products. Kamikaze is a big line that's coming out in the US.
I've used a couple of them. They look lovely, those products as well. They seem to be well rated, the ceramics and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and that's out of Japan, and a lot of folks are really liking it. But I like, I loved auto finesse stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is it hasn't done very well in the US.
No, we've got a lot of competition, haven't they? I mean, it requires another thing. It requires effort, doesn't it, to grow a brand as well as having your range. You've got to kind of. I talk about as banging the pots and pans, which is a fun way of saying it's a hell of a lot of work. And I think the companies you see doing well are investing a hell of a lot of time, perhaps money as well, resources, all that sort of stuff in promoting the brand. So that's important to success.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the products there as well. I think one of the hardest things, or one of the things that I like to see as someone that looks at all these brands, is innovation. Mm-hmm. So if I can see a brand that are putting out chemicals that are new to market, that are different to other things chemically, that's always interesting, because after a while you see all your different options, and protection is always the one that people are really interested in. You've got your paste waxes, you've got your synthetic sealants, and now you've got your kind of ceramic coatings, which are the latest kind of generation. And it's what else is kind of coming out? What's going to be the next big development?
Yeah. Well, and right now the biggest is that people are talking about on the forums and stuff is the ceramic infused wax.
Yeah,
that's a big one that people are starting to look at and going like, oh, well,
well, what I think you're getting with those is a lot of people like using waxes.
Yeah, well, it's therapeutic.
Yeah, so waxing I think is here to stay. Definitely in the UK, people love using paste waxes, and the ceramic waxes that I've used, the Fireball Fusion, Angel Wax Enigma, and there's two other ones now. This is my brain failing. What are the two other ones? Oh, the Kamikaze one, and I think Adams have got one. So where they're actually infusing quite a large amount of the stuff that's used in the ceramic into the waxes. In fact, probably something we're going to talk about more on the channel, because it's contentious.
Yeah.
This thing. So some people say it's just a marketing gimmick, and some people will say they're good. I think they're really good, but it's important to understand that you can get waxes which will outlast them. I don't think putting a ceramic in there is a technique for making the wax kind of more durable. So if you want to go down the budget option, you can buy durability waxes, colonites and kind of stuff that will last for ages without spending lots of money. So it's down to the individual. If you like exploring waxes, you've got an option there. But I'm also kind of interested in what chemically is going to be the next step. Is there going to be anything other than ceramic coatings, a different type of thing?
Well, and I've seen stuff like there are other parts of the world that are getting far more durable coatings and self-healing coatings.
Yeah, self-healing coatings could be massive.
And that still has yet to come all the way over and actually make a mark. But that could be the next.
If they can get one that works, it sounds quite obvious that you can. The guys at home can demonstrate to themselves that when the coating builds up a layer of swirls, that you can either heat it up or whatever to remove them, or it does it on its own, and there's no major trade-offs with that.
Yeah.
That's probably likely to be the next big thing.
Well, and Nissan made that self-healing paint on the Skyline, which has been a bear for folks to polish and try and fix.
Yeah.
So it didn't work as well.
That's the thing that's going on that you might not see. So at the moment, you see every now and then self-healing coatings in operation, and when you see a video of someone scratching clear coat and then it correcting itself without you touching it.
Yeah.
That is a very enticing thing.
Oh, yeah.
Mind you, it might take a lot of work away from people. There's a lot of work being done to correct this paintwork.
Yeah.
So it might not be healthy from a kind of...
Well, and in one of my past talks, we talked about that too, is that subscription-based car purchasing. Volvo is going to do that in the U.S. where they're doing a subscription-based. You basically pay a monthly fee and you get a car.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we do that in the U.S. with all our cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not buying the phone anymore; you're just renting it.
Yeah,
so you can trade up.
In the UK as well, leasing stuff.
Yeah, and so Cadillac's doing that. Volvo does it. But as more companies are going to start, 5 years ago with cell phones, you paid for them. Now every manufacturer, you just lease the phone. Who's not to say 5 to 10 years from now, the car industry goes that way, where that's now an option. So you've got purchase, lease, and then ride share basically, or rent to own or something where it's you only own it for maybe a year, but you trade it in, and that's how it is.
Yeah, the incentivizes me to look after it if I know it's going back.
Yeah, but that is the case. But we've got a whole generation of people who don't maybe care about it as much, or aren't buying cars as much.
Yeah,
the millennials seem.
But I think with your kind of, maybe that's a good thing if you're buying cars to use. But if you've got one like an old classic or something like that, then I think the detailing stuff is here to stay, isn't it?
I think
it's here
so
to
too.
stay for a long time. And I think, like we were saying, more and more people are getting into it and taking the plunge, which is a good thing for the industry, and it's a good thing for guys at home. And I talk to a lot of people through the social media stuff, and field quite a lot of questions about all this machine polishing, especially about what to use when you get started. But guys out there, I think, are learning quite quickly how to get good levels of results on their cars at home, and that is the name of the game, really. You don't want to invest all of the time doing this, and at the end of it, just look at the car and think, oh God, what have I just spent 12 hours doing? So you want to be proud of the work. And then the icing on the cake is, after you finish polishing it, having perhaps a range of nice protection products there that you get on with, and do what you need them to do, whatever that is. If it's easy to apply, it lasts for ages, or beading. That's another thing we could talk about for ages, is the hydrophobic.
Well, I brought some bead maker.
Oh, did you?
We can spray some on your BMW, and you can just feel it
for the next week.
Yeah.
I will have a look at
it's
that.
in my suitcase.
But beading.
Yeah.
I think nowadays, if you develop a new protection product for cars and it doesn't bead, even if it was amazing, it's not going to go down well, because what you can measure at home in terms of performance is quite limited. You can't measure gloss, can you?
Yeah.
You can see if it's done a good job of making your car look great when you've applied it, and most waxes will do that. After you've washed it 3 or 4 times, it's very difficult to tell the gloss now between how the gloss will be in 2 weeks or whatever. You just can't measure it. But you can always measure the hydrophobic effect.
Oh, yeah.
So people are always saying, well, I put this product on. Oh, we lost the camera there. People will be saying, I put a product on my car, and a month later it's not beading and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think the industry is realising that whatever protective products we sell, they've got to be repellent, and they've got to hold on to that repellency for as long as possible.
And I think that's realistically how it's going to go forward in the industry. It's just having that, quick sprayable protection that you can do when you're drying, or because drying aids are making that a lot easier for folks, and so
less contact and stuff on the paint. But as well as the beading, though, you do want to kind of have products, I think, which are kind of slick. At least I do, so that the next time I wash the car, I actually feel that the car is easier, especially when making contact with the microfiber. Yeah. You want it to just glide over the paintwork, and it's sticking down. It's never good. So
well, it sounds like we need to spray some bead maker on your BMW.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you for sitting down with me.
It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate it. And you guys can check out Jon's Instagram at Forensic Detailing.
Yes.
And then check out the YouTube channel, Forensic Detailing, on YouTube.
Forensic Detailing channel.
Yes, on YouTube.
I don't know why I have the word channel in there. It doesn't do anything. It's pretty obvious it's a channel.
Yeah.
I might ditch that.
Check those out. You can also find Jon on Facebook, and again, like I said, Instagram and YouTube. So thanks, buddy. Appreciate you coming out, man. It's awesome.